Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the feature news for today, that is for 24th of January 2022. Today's feature news is on India-Japan relationship. In understanding the 70 years of relationship that India and Japan transversed together, we will understand what has been the present context of the relationship between both the countries, the kind of trade that both these countries carry with each other, and the kind of cultural, historical significance that they attach to each other, the strategic impact of this relationship as well. So now before we begin this feature news, let me quickly welcome all of you who are in the present chat here. Good evening, Amlan. Hi, Babani. Hello, Netra. Hi, Kriti. Hi, Ashish. Hello, Hima. Hi, Mithun. Hi, Lost Soul. Good evening, Supriya. We do have Pooja. I will within a day, I'll reach out to you and we'll sort this issue. You will be able to access this. Hi, Sam. Welcome back. Keeping very quiet these days. Hi, Somik. Good evening. Peace lover. Good evening. All right. Sonu Jha. Good evening to you as well. All right. So, Ravi. Good evening to you as well. Hi. Good evening. So, before we begin this conversation, there was a quick request from you people. Since I asked your profiles, you also asked my profile. Very much justified. This must be on equal, or if not equal, then equitable grounds. If you remember what equitable means. So what has been my background? Very quickly, a few backgrounds to put here. The first one is doing my engineering, BE computer in 2010. This is the first thing I did, and I failed and passed and failed and passed and finally passed this examination. After that, I worked for a while in corporate sector. Then I came back to civil service examination preparation quickly. And this is where I spent quite a bit of time. I also involved myself in working alongside preparation. And I spent a total of 9 years in experiencing what this examination is about. I gave all my 6 attempts very happily and made quite a number of mistakes, blunders at times. So 6 attempts and around 9 years, I started to work alongside and also built myself, right? Many other things alongside my hobbies, interests. I worked on those. Alongside, I also did my master's in MA in philosophy and alongside MSc in counseling and therapy. So these are the 2 additional things my profile has. My optional was geography and philosophy. And later on, I picked up philosophy later, right? Because that time was the time when we had 2 optionals. So I had to study quite a bit. I picked up philosophy, but geography was at the core of my heart. Why, Amlan had a question, why it is that many of us are from geography optional? It is not just that Shabir sir, introduced geography to all of us at Edukemy, but also because geography is the most popular optional for UPSC main examination. The data itself says that around 8,000 people who appeared for the main examination, when 2,000 had geography as the optional. And the second most favored optional is political science and international relations, PSIR. I will come back with another video within a week to tell you about the choice of optionals and subjects, right? So this is one reason that many students that we encounter are from geography background or political science, international relations background, or PubAd, another favored optional, or socio or anthro. Many students appearing from these 5 or 6 optional papers. This is the reason. All right. So this is one thing here. My background is over, understood. I have appeared for the main examination 2 times, interview none of the times. Happy with what I have achieved. All right. So let me see if people are saying something here. Good evening, Sonu. Thank you, peace lover. Welcome. Experience तो सबका है. All right. पटना से है सोनू. All right. अभी मैं तो दिल्ली से बोल रहा हूँ, but मैं रांची से हूँ. All right. Feature news for today is on India-Japan relationship. Let's get back to this. 70 years of this relationship. See, Japan was one of those countries which lost the Second World War, right? The Axis countries. The USA likes to call Axis countries, the present axis of evil, but Japan is not a part of it. Along the axis of evil of USA these days is a country like Iran, North Korea, and another country. Which is that country? Axis of evil. But right now, talking about the erstwhile Second World War, the three countries which are part of the Axis countries, Japan, and then we also had Germany, which was the third country. These were opposed to the other countries, which were the other powerful allied nations, USA, USSR, and then France, UK on one side, and these Axis countries on the other. After the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, 9th and 6th of August 1945, this war practically came to a closure. And after that, treaties were signed, right? There was one treaty that was signed in San Francisco. It also spoke about the initiation of United Nations. India, and this is where some of the countries which got defeated also were a part. India did not participate with Japan there. India had its own relationship developed in the year 1952. So this year, the beginning of this year, marks 70 years of India-Japan relationships. Japan until then was a country with lot of aggression, aggression with the help of its leaders. There is a history of Japan to it. Why it developed so quickly, advanced. We will cover that history in some other informational video, just like we covered China and Vietnam. So if you like that kind of video, do share. I'll share those quick excerpts, 2-minute understanding of Japan history there. If you like it, do share right here if you like that. So now getting back to this. So Japan got defeated in the World War, and after that it resolved not to be an aggressor, right? And after this, after 1945, it was no more an aggressor. Before this, it also attacked countries around side, like for example, China. It also attacked at Pearl Harbor, America, and that is how America got indulged in the Second World War. These are the parts of 1945 and before, right? So getting to the context in which Japan built itself after 1945 is peace, is reconstruction, is the culture of discipline, right? They have these kind of culture even before that, right? And they have also been culture preserving. This is what has Japan embodied since olden times. But peacefulness, there are many examples of this. For example, when Japan went to Afghanistan to protect, as a part of the coalition army, there were requirement of Japanese army to be protected by other army people, right? So this is the kind of peace that they reflect. Not only that, they reflect the culture of discipline, right? And being on time. So this is something that is inherent to them. They protect their culture a lot. The language Japanese is something that they have retained even despite of globalization. India has adopted languages like English and French, but Japan, the primary language spoken is Japanese, and this is the reason that their culture is still intact, right? Because of the innumerable earthquakes in and around the Japanese islands, the 4 important islands, Honshu, Hokkaido, Kyushu, and Shikoku, big islands, they have understood the value of reconstruction, right? So not only this, industry is one of their values. Labor, if the labor, in Japan, one of the popular cultures is that if you sleep at work, it indicates that you have been working really well, right? Whereas if we sleep in our work, you better know what happens in the work, right? So in Japan, treating a person with dignity is very, very reverent. It is considered as godly, right? The kind of culture that Japan has also borrows from what India had, Buddhism, right? So the historical significance of this relationship roots back to the culture of Buddhism between both the countries. This is the reason that India attracts proportional traffic of the Buddhist people in the religious tourism circuit in our country. So this has been the background of relationship, and in this context, let us quickly understand this beautiful feature news of the relationship that these countries have. All right, you guys here? All right, yes, you people are here. Ravi says I am also from Ranchi. All right, all right. Meiji restoration. Thank you, Kriti. Good. All right. So the brief background of this relationship, it was not established under United Nations, but a separate relationship between India and Japan 1952. This is the first pointer, and they also have a vision for future. Right now, the trade is such that they trade around $13 billion, including export and import. And this is not a very, very big number. They're amongst the top 15 exporters or importers of each other. This is one thing to mention. And they are also destined to increase this trade. But the lot of relationship of these two countries is dependent on the scientific and technological endeavors of Japan. So when you look at a company like Sony, a company like Honda, these are Japanese companies, right? And these companies have done well, but there are other brands which are overtaken this. For example, LG, global leader. LG, full form is global leader. It has overtaken this. Hyundai has been overtaken by a company like Hyundai. You know why? I was reading this at a place. It is because, see, these are cases that we can learn from. This is because Japan has continued to establish many of these products only in Japan, right? Another product that they establish are these air conditioners, a very, very good brand called as Daikin. Now, manufacturing of these core components happens in Japan only. And this is why the costs are high. Daikin is higher cost, Honda cars are higher in cost, Sony is of course more expensive. But other countries, what they did, they shifted their base to countries like Vietnam, countries or places like Taiwan, places like Philippines or China or India. They shifted their manufacturing base to make the technology cheaper. But Japan did not share the technology, building the core there and then exporting it to other countries. This is the reason that Japanese products are still, workable and doing well as compared to the cheaper Chinese versions. Having said that, the business is not with Japan, right? Japan, one of the leading economies around the world. And this is the reason that India and Japan share their relationship, science and technology. So when you speak of health technology, Japan is helping India using the health technology. When we speak of education, India is again being helped by Japan on technological developments in education. When we speak of information technology or software, yes, Japan again helping here, India. Similarly, there are many other places, for example, infrastructure development. If you know, JICA, funding by Japan and Japanese banks and Japanese multilateral agencies for metro projects in India, for construction and development projects in India, this is what Japan is doing. So when you see a model of development which is from Japan or from India on one hand and China on the other, we will be easily able to relate and understand these development strategies as well. So while Japan funds projects in India, it does not establish a stronghold or autonomy or base of its own, unlike China. And similar to what India does with Africa. And this is the reason that the strategic or the geopolitical rivalry with China exists, because India and Japan have nurtured a policy for development of Asia-Afro region, African and Asian region. This is competing with China's development through Belt and Road Initiative. This is also competing with European Union's initiative of, can you name that European Union initiative here in the comment section? Please do that. So this is the reason that both these countries have had geopolitical significance, right? And this significance has a keyword. It is called as the relationship to establish Asia and Africa, right? So this is called as Asia-Africa. Does anybody have the name here? Asia-Africa relationship, right? This is how I'd like to call it right now. And this is competing with what China has. So this is one thing about it. And they also have increased cooperation in defense and security field. It is but obvious that India has to associate with somebody China is not happy with in the region. And this helps India's progress in Asia Pacific region. Just like if you remember, India's agreement like RELOS with Russia, like another logistical agreement, LIMOA with USA, India has logistical exchange agreement with Japan as well, right? So India will be able to exchange its weaponry, its goods in case India is caught in some issues, civil or non-civil. in or around Japanese islands. These two countries have also established a 2+2 dialogue with other Quad nations as well. India has it. Not only that, if you look at the kind of exercises, Malabar in the initiating in Singapore and with USA, Japan, and GIMEX, Japan, India maritime exercises. Many exercises are conducted between both the countries, right? So you can see there is an existent military cooperation, there is an existent cooperation on scientific development, exchanges for development of African and Asian regions, economic cooperation. Let's look at that. Economic cooperation is such that we have around $12 billion of trade, not a very, very big trade, but yes, it could escalate provided both the countries exchange their science and technology levels. Japan has technology, India has human resources. This is what synergizes both the countries. India's exports obviously lesser than India's imports, so $4 billion of exports and $8 billion of imports from Japan, right? This is the difference. Of course, India at a disadvantage, but also an advantage with a friendly country, right? But Japan, because of this, happens to be one of the largest investors in our country, right? So fourth largest investor, and their investment is very different from how China invests. I've explained this. See, these are the concepts. They cannot be written in examination, but we have to understand what it is like, right? So Kriti, thank you. Asia, Africa Growth Corridor. Thank you for this keyword. And Netra, thank you very much. All right. So this is one thing. And official development assistance. This is one of the assistance through which India receives money for its projects in the country, right? India-Japan Digital Partnership, another startup hub established by Japan and India. Japan also has experience in disaster management. So when we talk of disaster risk reduction or disaster resilience, Japan is one country to look up to for handling disasters like earthquakes, for handling disasters like volcanoes, for handling disasters like tsunami, for handling a disaster like human disaster like nuclear fallout. Japan has handled each of them, and this is why we look up to a country like Japan to be able to establish better disaster management in India, right? All right. Along with that, India being helped for skill development, health development, education cooperation, all of them. See, one example of how disciplined Japanese students are in education. They're allotted a time frame of 30 minutes so that they could eat food, and they're allotted this time only to eat food. They cannot be doing anything else. They have to munch their food 20 times before they engulf that particular food. So this is how disciplined they are, right? So not only that, if you look at the space cooperation between both the countries, ISRO and JAXA is their space agency's name, and they cooperate there as well, right? Also peaceful use of nuclear energy. These are the initiatives both the countries run. There is also an initiative for development of urban landscape with the help of Japan. So sister city cooperation. Now there are cities in India like Ahmedabad, and there are cities in Japan. What is Kobe city? And please confirm if these are the cities. So this is the sister cooperation between India and Japan. Through this, what is that they're trying to do is develop Ahmedabad on the model of a similar morphological structure in Japan, right? So their water systems will be similar. Their architectural design will be quite inspired from each other. Their infrastructure, their wind or air management, their energy management, their management of waste, be it solid or liquid, their transportation, all of them will be managed so that they reflect each other and learn from each other. This is what is the concept of sister cities, right? So this is what they're developing. In fact, there are many other countries which have had a sister city relationship with India, not just Japan, but this is how India is trying to learn the best from other developed countries, right? So the convergence in geopolitics is because of many factors. Japan is at a neighborhood which coincides with a little hostile neighborhood, a country like North Korea, a country like China just around it, and this is the reason that India needs assistance to be able to grow or go Far East, and then Russia, right? A country like Japan, a relationship with Taiwan, a relationship with Philippines, Vietnam. If you can see this, this is how India is also establishing better relationship, so that logistical exchange agreement, military exchanges, this helps India cross over and do better trade with other countries and access all the parts of the world. If you can see this strategy here, this is something beneficial. And we also studied in the current affairs video that Malaysia, Indonesia are also trying to procure India's weaponry. This means it will establish friendly relations with these countries as well. You can very well see how India is also trying to further its geopolitical presence in the Asia Pacific region. See, thank you Kriti for mentioning the word, and Netra, Asia Africa growth corridor. This is where our strategy, it merges with Japanese strategy, right, to be able to develop the countries. Not only here, but we also see how both the countries are destined for growth of Sri Lanka. So if you remember, we had studied just a few days back that in Sri Lanka, India and Japan are jointly going to develop a port, the West Port Terminal at Colombo. Japan and India, in coincidence, in sync with each other, and in competence with another Colombo port which is managed by China, right? So you can very well see the kind of competition. And another area of cooperation between India and Japan is that both of the countries look at ASEAN centricity of Asia Pacific. ASEAN centricity, while Japan is here, India is here, both the countries look that East Asia will grow through keeping ASEAN at the center. This is, merging of the strategies. ASEAN is a major power, the 10 nation bloc. Another major power is China itself, far more bigger, but many countries look at China as the centric. And if India looks at ASEAN as center, Japan looks at them as center, both of them will converge on their ideas, their strategies, their finances, their workforce, their plans. This is how they partner with each other after 70 years of independence. But a quick small fact, since Japan was affected by nuclear war, Japan had vouched that it will never help a country which had gone through a nuclear development. So when India developed the 1974 and 1999, the Smiling Buddha operation, nuclear missiles, Japan was among the first countries to condone India and to condemn India. This is the reason that Japan had these issues. But after India-USA nuclear deal, Japan, the friendship was restored. So what did we study in this particular India-Japan relationship article? We understood the background of this relationship that Japan and India have. The background is the cultural significance of the relationship, Buddhism. We also understood the kind of culture that is prevalent in Japan, the culture of discipline and culture of growth, resilience to disaster management, and their commitment towards excellence and perfection through examples of companies like Honda and Sony. We also understood what is the kind of relationship that India and Japan share. Multitudes of relationships, science and technology based relationship. And this is where I would like to point that they invest well more than 3% of their GDP on science and technology innovation. India spends only 0.67% of GDP. You all know that. So this is one technology. The other relationship that they both have is that of strategy in East Asia, South Asia, and Asia, Africa. Growth. What is that? Growth corridor. Yes. So this is technology, strategy, and we also have investment relationship between both the countries. We also have development of disaster management and human resources development, human resources HRD, many other fields of relationship between both the countries. We also later studied the kind of competition that Japan and India face in respect of competing neighborhoods like China. And after that, we also understood how can this relationship go beyond, right? So partnership in countries like Africa, right, and Sri Lanka. So let us look at the question for the day. The growing convergence of India and Japan on strategic and economic issues has potential to shape a multipolar world that is more peaceful, secure, and sustainable. Discuss. So the question says the growing convergence, all right, explaining the convergence and on India and Japan on strategic and economic issues has the potential to shape multipolar world other keyword, multipolar world that is more peaceful, secure and sustainable. 3. So I spot 3, many keywords here, but 3 important keywords here. The first one is the growing convergence on these strategic economic issues. So when it says discuss a question like this, the first part of the question is convergence on strategic and economic issues. One will have to cater a small part of the answer to the strategic and economic significance of this partnership. First part of the answer. The second has to be on the multipolar world it can lead to, right? India, Japan leading to another, form of strength internationally, and how it will lead to peaceful and secure sustainability. This is a part of the relationship that I spoke of, China's aggression and the passivity and the bliss that Japan and India share towards the whole world, right? Non-aggressor nations. This is how you will be able to discuss through examples. So once you give a point, you have to give an example, or you have to give some data and then another point and another example or data. You present 5-6 points on one side of the story and 5-6 points on the other, and you see this answer is close to perfection, right? So this is how we conclude this conversation. Let me see if there are some comments here. Arshdeep Kaur says, anyone pursuing Edukemy's GS course? Anybody, please mention, and she would like to have an input from you people. Let me see if there are comments from any of you. If you like this initiative, do share some love through likes, comments and shares, right? So let me see if there are some inputs here for us. I will note down your profile. Yes, everybody else, please, if you have to share what your targets are for the year, people who are watching offline, or if you want to share some details about yourself so that I profile each of you to be able to help, because we are increasing our interactions here. Let us be more focused, right? All right. So let me see if there are conversations here. All right. Pooja, I will get back to you. I will call you. I'll place a call to you and we will get back on this. Don't you worry. Amblan, good night. Vibhani, welcome. Hima, welcome. Good night. Ashish, welcome. Peace lover. Rachit, good night. Preeti, good night. Netra, welcome very much. And I will see you all tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock for a round of questions and then current affairs. Thank you for participating. I'll see you all tomorrow evening. Aditya Raj, thank you very much. Thank you. We will see you tomorrow, 6 o'clock. Pooja, I will get back to you within a day. Peace lover, it is from Monday to Friday. Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock in the evening we begin, and we, and after that. All right. Thank you.